I decided to start a company at age 17. I thought I was a better business person than my dad. Passion and energy, willingness, and the ability to listen to other people. What is the feedback? And then number two, how is the feedback being delivered? They have a plan B. There's not less competition. There's going to be more.
Okay, you're wasted somewhere. Just and I was happy about that. Hello and welcome, guys, to our podcast, which is called UnderStartups. And today we have a person who has a lot of experience. That's what I say. What I found about her, so she's a serial entrepreneur, CEO coach, ISM lecturer, so lecturer of mine, also a keynote speaker, and a co-author of a book, Decoding Silicon Valley. So we have here Michelle Lane Messina. Was I correct about you?
You're correct. You read my LinkedIn profile very accurately.
Yeah, that I spent yesterday doing just that, just scanning through your LinkedIn profile. So, do you have any more experiences, or just I think that sum up those things?
I would say I do have a piece of experience that's very valuable. I've worked in 65 countries around the world.
Okay.
So I've traveled a lot and worked with entrepreneurs all over the world.
So 65 countries, you were physically there? Or
I've physically worked in 65 countries.
Okay, so and how many countries have you traveled?
Maybe 70.
Okay, nice. Because I'm trying to count. I think I have around 30.
Oh, that's pretty good for your age.
So I still some time to catch up with you.
That's pretty good.
Okay, great. But as you saw, you started businesses from early age, yeah?
Yeah, I started when my father was a diplomat. So we lived, the last place I lived when I was in high school was in Bogota, Colombia.
Okay.
So when we left Bogota, I didn't want to go to college right away. So I decided to start a company at age 17. And I didn't know anything about starting a company. And my father did exactly what parents do. They give you friends, families, and fools money to invest in your business. So I started the company when I was 17, and then I sold it when I was 19.
Okay, and what was the company about?
The company was a food distribution company. So there was natural juices and cheeses and breads and things like that were just being manufactured in a specific part of Southern California, and there was nobody distributing those products in the Los Angeles area. So I built a distribution company.
And what kind of concept did you use? How did you find about concepts? Could you tell us, like from a 17-year-old perspective?
Yeah, well, number one, I couldn't spell entrepreneur. I'd never heard the word entrepreneur when I was 17. But I think the idea was, is the product a good product, and who wants to buy the product? And so I went around to stores in Los Angeles area, giving them samples of the products and asking them, did they think their customers would be interested in buying those? And they said yes. And then they placed an order. And then pretty soon I had, deliveries 3 times a week, and bought some trucks and had people working for me, and then sold it 2.5 years later.
Okay, one question.
Yep.
You were 17 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. Did anybody look to you real? Like, did they say, "Oh, she's just a teenager. What she's doing in business"? Did you experience these kind of difficulties?
Yes. I think that big grocery store chains did not want to work with me because they thought I was too young, too inexperienced, and I just was fresh out of high school.
Okay.
So I did not get those accounts.
But for example, the truck drivers that worked for you, did they look real, like to you, as a boss? Did they just admire?
Oh, yeah. I can kick ass and give, directions. So there was no problem with that. I was pretty clear on what needed to be done. But again, I was only 17. So I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything at the time. I just was using my instinct.
And it helped you to selling the company. And who did you sold it to?
I sold it to somebody else who wanted to have their own business. And he and his father came and talked to me and my father about the business, and they looked at the financials, and they went on, he went with one of the drivers for a couple of days to see how the business worked. And then he and his father came to a decision on what the business was worth.
Okay.
And,
and you sold it. And after that, where did you went?
Well, I used the money to buy my first car.
Okay. So you bought a Toyota, yes?
So I bought a Toyota.
Okay,
I was
nice.
19 and a half and I bought a Toyota.
Oh, nice. A great purchase.
And then I decided to go to college after that because I'd just come out of high school and I wasn't interested in going to college right away.
Okay, so after that you went, okay, let's go through all the journey of 3 years.
Do we have to go through the whole journey?
Let's
Okay,
please,
good.
Let's just start.
Because I'm going to forget all the stuff that I want to forget.
Okay. Okay, so yeah. So you went to the college.
Yep.
And as I know, you didn't finish it.
Right.
Why? What was the turning point? What was the icebreaker that you saw that, no, the college is not for me?
It was very boring, in my
Okay.
opinion. It was very theoretical. It wasn't, I didn't think that the professors were very encouraging. I thought they were a little bit like either egotistical or arrogant. They didn't seem to want to help. And so after 2 years, I dropped out.
Okay. And okay, you're 21, yes?
More or less, yeah.
More or less 21. You're just dropped out of college.
Yep.
What do you do? Where do you start from that?
I started working for a few years. I worked for my father. He had a manufacturing company. So I worked for him for a couple years and I started in the marketing process. So how do we get more customers? How do we do the advertising? How do we do the promotion, the PR, that sort of thing? So I took a little bit of experience I got from 2 years in college and applied that because I was going to major in communications in college. And that was most of my classes, even though they were kind of boring.
Okay, so you're just now you're 25 around that?
Yeah, I guess.
Yes, 25, and you're just a marketing.
Yeah.
You're doing marketing, chief marketing officer, maybe.
Well, marketing manager.
Marketing.
Not
manager.
a chief marketing officer.
Okay. So you're marketing manager, and so what was the turning point to quit your dad's company and to go more further?
The turning point was I thought I was a better business person than my dad.
Okay.
And my dad is still alive. He's 85 years old.
Oh, nice.
And we have lots of conversations about this. He tells me that I am much better in business than he ever was. Yeah. He tells me that now.
In that age?
No, heck no.
Of course not.
Heck no. No.
Yeah, so you had some good competition, healthy competition.
Healthy competition, but so yeah, I quit because I felt like I'd be better in business, working for other people that I could learn from in a more effective manner.
Okay, so look, there's like when we are kids, we dream about things, we dream, some of them want to be policemen, some of them want to be astronauts, doctors. What were your dream?
I wanted to be a lawyer.
A lawyer?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, because I think it has to do with my sign of the zodiac, which is Libra.
Okay.
So everything's in balance.
Yes.
And everything's in harmony. And I believe in both equality and equity for people.
Yeah.
So when I see things are out of balance, it bothers me a lot. But then I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer.
No, it's a pretty interesting job, that you wanted, they're your dreams. So
Yeah.
usually, I don't know, when I was younger, I was dreaming to becoming an astronaut.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know why, but I just loved the job. And after that, I think when I was 14, I Googled how could I get to European Space Agency?
Yeah.
How could I get to them? Then I saw that Lithuanians don't have any agreement. Then I thought about my relations with UK and everything. I had a plan for that. So, but still, the dreams are just dreams and they're just for dreamers.
So there wasn't a path for you to move forward in that.
No, but maybe now when we have SpaceX, private flights. So maybe someday, the dream is still alive. Someday.
Well, Elon Musk asked Tom Hanks to go in SpaceX to go up to space. And Jeff Bezos.
Oh, yeah.
And he wanted Tom Hanks to pay $28 million to go in the rocket for 10 seconds.
And Tom Hanks said it's too expensive, yeah?
Yeah, it's too expensive. I can use my $28 million in a better way.
Yeah, I think that I read that article also.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a good decision on Tom Hanks's part. I could use $28 million in a better way than going to space.
But, like sometimes the technology works, just computers are very expensive.
Yeah.
But with the years, they're just becoming more cheaper and cheaper. And like now, phone costs just an entry phone could cost you €100. Yeah. Which costed you thousands.
And you got more computing power in your phone than you had in a Cray supercomputer 40 years ago.
So that's just when we're coming to exponential technologies.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're an expert in technology, sir. I think that you're an enthusiast there.
I'm an enthusiast. I love technology. I can't live without it, but I'm not an expert in technology. I feel like my strengths are in building businesses and figuring out what the market wants or doesn't want. But I don't think I am an expert in technology.
Yeah, but I just saw that you're very interested in that.
Oh, I love
You have a big interest, yeah.
I love technology.
So
my mother hates technology. I love technology.
So you see yourself as a tech-savvy person?
Yeah, I use all kinds of technologies.
Okay, great. So you're like adaptive. You're like the first. There's an innovator here. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm an innovator, but I like to use technology, especially early on, to figure out whether or not it works or not. And occasionally I throw it across the room when I get frustrated with it, but I like technology a lot.
So so like working with startups, which are technological companies, are your dream job here after lawyering?
Oh, I'm having a lot of fun.
Okay, nice.
I like what I do. I love what I do because I created a life where I can travel all over the world. And, I live in Silicon Valley, which is the innovation hub of the world.
It's Mecca.
Very well respected. It's not perfect, but there's a lot of interesting things that happen there. So I've learned a lot being there for a long time. I wrote a book about it. I have a lot of contacts, but I love being in other countries and other cultures. And so I've basically created a life for myself where I can travel and help startups all over the world.
Okay, so you mentioned you're traveling a lot. So, and yesterday we spoke with Gediminas, who's an expert in design thinking and innovation, and he talked that the main drive for innovation is mindset. So, and I think innovation and startup is a very relative, and there go relative things, and they go together. Do you think that the way that you're like traveling and going all around the world, speaking with a lot of different cultures, is building the mindset to be a better entrepreneur and to help others?
Well, I think that it's important to understand as much as you can about a country, a culture, its languages, and its practices. I think every place in the world has some sort of entrepreneurial ecosystem because, let's face it, we've been buying and selling products for thousands of years.
Of course.
So, but if you can understand a little bit of the country, it helps you to understand a little bit more of the mindset of entrepreneurs, and then you can find out why there are more successes in that culture than there might be somewhere else. So, for example, I've traveled to Brazil maybe 12 or 15 times over the years. When I first started traveling there was not a lot of English spoken, and the number of English-speaking entrepreneurs was relatively small. Now, 8 or 10 years later, the level of English penetration in Brazil is much, much higher, and there's many more Brazilian unicorn tech companies than there were even 2 years ago. So I think that the ability to the ability to have something that's of value, so knowledge, best practices, information, and be able to share that in a teaching format, diplomatically with people to help them understand that there are other ideas or things that they should consider about their startup. I think that's, to me, that's very rewarding. I like I love what I do.
Yeah.
I don't like what I do. I love what I do.
Okay, nice. But maybe you have an inspirational person that were your like inspiration, that was role model. I saw that your dad, first of all, was your role model, wasn't it? Before it became your competition?
Yeah. I mean, we get along a lot better now than when I was younger.
I think so.
But I think that I relate to people that are very strong and focused on doing stuff. So if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know where you're going, I'm not going to follow you. I will try to lead you because that's my natural personality.
Okay, but so you were in the moment that you didn't know what you were doing and what you want to do, or just what you're like in this place and just where you didn't know how to orientate. So what was the person or some people just that you picked and chose to look
Yeah. I worked for a computerized robotics company for about 4 years. And they were 3 founders from Silicon Valley that lived in Southern California, which is about 8 or 10 hour drive south. They tried to raise venture capital in Silicon Valley, were unable to do that. So they bootstrapped the company, and I started working with them. And I was very intrigued because it was 3 very different founders. And they were I was like the 5th employee. And so we were just building a company without really knowing exactly what to do. We knew we had to find customers. We knew who our customers were, but we had to create a pitch. We had to price the product. We had to advertise it, promote it, all those kinds of things. So this was a time when people didn't really think about, how do you build and scale a company? It wasn't like it is now, where there are accepted processes and best practices that you would do to build a company. And I think one of the things in Silicon Valley that is relevant is the fact that we have optimized some of those processes. We don't get them all right, because if we did, then we wouldn't have 90% failure in Silicon Valley if we knew how to do it right every time. But then on the other hand, there's still things that we know that are the things we should do about validating the product, about validating the market, about understanding, what are the features, what is the benefit the customer gets, what is the end value they receive. So I think there still are some best practices that we can continue to share, and I like doing that.
So these guys and the work in their robotics company,
they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, so that was the inspiration for you, that helped.
That was my inspiration, but I didn't realize that till many years later.
Okay, nice.
So they didn't know what they were doing, but they were successful in spite of themselves.
Okay, but when you joined them, did you believe that their idea was good?
I really didn't understand the product when I joined. I joined because the person that I interviewed with and the person I was working with was just super excited about the company and the technology and the product. So I used his enthusiasm to make me enthusiastic. And then after a while, I understood the product, and it got more and more interesting.
Okay, so you understood the idea, and then you thought that it's good, and you wanted to became more motivational to go with it?
Yeah, I mean, I stayed there for like 4.5 years. The company grew to a couple hundred employees, and the company's still in business today. Many years later, they were sold to a big conglomerate, but they still have localized decision making.
So it was like your baby because you saw it how it grew.
Yeah,
you were like an aunt to that startup.
Yeah, and when I go to Southern California, I still stop in and say hello to the founder.
Okay, so let's jump to your specialty. So you're a startup coach. Can I tell you, can I call you like that? Of course.
Sure, you can call me that.
Okay, so we talked about an idea. Yeah, you didn't believe in it until you understood it. Then you got your inner motivation to it.
Yeah.
But what makes the idea a good idea?
I think part of the thing that makes the good idea is something that people can relate to, something that solves a problem or fills a gap in the market. I think, and sometimes it's just because it's a crazy idea that it's a good idea.
Okay.
It's so crazy it might work. But from my perspective, it's usually filling a gap in the market, whether it's a problem or a necessity. I think that's the first place to start.
Just to fill the problem. You just see and underline it, define the problem for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And after that, the good idea will follow.
Hopefully. Hopefully, but not always.
Okay, but you have listened, I saw that you listened to more than 5,000 or 6,000 of pitches.
Yes.
Okay. I see that there's a lot of patterns usually in pitches. If you will watch a Shark Tank or Dragon's Den.
Absolutely.
What's the biggest trend for today's pitch?
Trend from what perspective?
I'm not sure. Like the thing that repeats, maybe not the pitch, but something that types of products, what are like the most common now. Is there an app for everything already?
Well, I see lots of different kinds of products. I see enterprise software products. I see B2C products. I see food products, home furnishings, clothing, wearable technology. So I see lots of different kinds of things depending on what sector. Biomedical, biometrics, all kinds of different stuff. So I could not really tell you exactly what are the hot trends other than, let's face it, the last few weeks and months, there's been a lot about crypto, Ethereum, Bitcoin, stuff like that. But that doesn't mean it's going to be hot a year from now.
Of course.
But I think that, the big trends are data, how data is used, how data is used to create insights for decision making. The more data we give up, and we are giving up more data every day to big players, the more we will see stuff that basically gives us either the things they think they want us to see or we want to see. So, data is a huge issue. And data privacy is a huge issue. And now that I've been in Lithuania for a couple of days, I can see every time I access a website, I have to give my acceptance to the cookies in a different way than I do when I'm in the United States.
Yeah, that's because of the European law.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So it's been a nice reminder to do that every time I go on Google or go to my banking website or whatever.
Yeah, because Lithuania and European Union is stronger regulated than the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we cannot have, there's some things with memes. There because we have GDPR.
Yes.
So, and I think it's a great thing for the
I think it is too. And I think the United States is way behind.
Let's go back to the pitches.
Okay.
So to have an idea, we need a problem. Yes?
Ideally,
yes. So but then we need to present the problem to somebody like you.
Okay.
And to have some help, some mentorship or something more. How to present it to you that you would say, yes, I want to help you.
I think a big part of building a company or getting support for a startup is the passion and energy that the founder or the co-founders demonstrate around their idea. So if they're super excited or they had personal experience with this particular problem, and that's why they developed the app or the software or the hardware or whatever it is, that insight that they have and that passion can take them a lot further than somebody who just joined the company and doesn't know anything about that particular problem. So energy, passion, commitment, and insight or knowledge of the problem, I think, is a big factor in success.
And how would you differentiate the short-term motivation to long-term motivation?
I think that a lot of people, I'd say 5-6 years ago in Silicon Valley, international founders would come to Silicon Valley and they'd say, I'm going to build a company that I'm going to flip and sell to a big tech company in three years.
Okay.
And so using the goal of flipping the company as their end goal doesn't necessarily mean that you build a good company. If you have the goal of building a good, long-term, sustainable company, then chances are you'll have a strong revenue stream, a market that really wants the product, and a market that is enthusiastic about the product. Chances are those things will help you build a business that will be much more attractive to an acquirer at some point in time. But if your end goal is simply to sell the company and make money, it does not mean you're going to build a good company that has good market share, good acceptance of the product, and a sustainable revenue stream.
So do you believe that the end goal or the process, which is more important?
I think the end goal is very important because your end goal is going to influence, if you work backwards from there, your end goal is going to influence all the steps that you take tomorrow or 6 months from now.
Okay. So there's a lot of startups also now. There's a lot of, everybody wants to be new. Everybody wants to bring some new things. But should we reinvent the bike here?
I don't know. Do we need to reinvent the bike? We're adding, batteries to bikes, and everybody's buying electric bikes.
Yeah.
Clearly, the demand is there. So that reinvention of the bike or tweaking of the bike has been very interesting to the market, and the sales demonstrate that.
Yeah, but I meant it more like in general. We have a saying, just reinventing the bike, just creating something new out of like
a new version of it.
Yeah, of an old thing. Because, for example, when we had Facebook, Facebook was created. There was MySpace, already a social network.
Yeah, there was a lot of social networks.
Yeah, there were a lot
time.
of things before that. So what makes, like, because look, the MySpace didn't blow up just like a Facebook. What differentiates those things? Because MySpace had the market before the Facebook came.
That's very true. How much of the success of Facebook has been directly related to the founder, Mark Zuckerberg? And his, yeah, exactly. You said a lot. And I think that's a very big factor. His perseverance, laser focused, you know, drive, ambition, whatever you want to call it. Those things, the intensity at which he made decisions, built that company, and scaled that company. The fact that he has a controlling, you know, a large controlling share of Facebook and the decision-making process. I mean, that company is perhaps shaped around him and his personality more so than perhaps Google or Apple. Apple's much older, but you know, that individual founder, Mark Zuckerberg, has been a key factor in the style and the personality and the company culture.
I think that's the same for Amazon with Jeff Bezos and also Tesla with Elon Musk.
Exactly.
Because as I see, there's a lot of products, like usually people are buying some products, for example, the Boring Company.
Right.
Yeah. He launched what? He launched, there was a flamethrower. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the Boring Company. I think there was tequila or something, a Tesla tequila.
Yes, there was a Tesla tequila.
Yeah, Tesla tequila, yeah. And people just buy because of the Elon Musk hype.
Right.
So I think that just, you know, that's not about that's the best tequila. That's Elon Musk's tequila.
Right.
So I think that's why a lot of people are just coming to the trends and just joining Elon Musk, just the same that Mark Zuckerberg did with the Facebook.
But if we did a taste testing of all the tequilas, would Elon Musk's tequila taste better than George Clooney's tequila?
I don't think so.
I don't know. You know, but people are willing to pay a lot of money for a bottle of tequila because, yes, it is Elon Musk's tequila. But, you know, I would rather buy a better tequila than Elon Musk's tequila. I don't know if his is good, bad, or indifferent, but I'd rather buy the best tequila.
Yeah, me too. Like, I have this personal, like, I try to not to jump on a trend, but to buy, like, there's things that, you know, there's a tequila makers that make it for 100 years, and you buy it from them. So it was Jack Daniels, for example. That's not a tequila.
Right.
There's whiskey, but he was making it for 100 years.
Right.
So, for example, the same with Elon Musk. I believe in his cars. I believe in his ideas, but I don't believe in a boring company. For example, launching flamethrowers, launching tequila bottles. So that's I think that's a big PR stunt only.
I think you're probably right.
Thank you for that. But yeah, I'm a very practical guy here. So I know that you're a pitch expert.
Okay.
And can you do a pitch?
Can I do a pitch?
Yeah.
About what?
I'll give you an idea. We're talking.
All right.
Brainstorming. Okay.
All right.
So imagine we have sunglasses, that have solar panels around them.
Cool.
Okay. And you can just, by using, you're like going to the sun, you're just sunbathing maybe, and you're powering the batteries in your glasses. Mm-hmm. And after that, you can charge your cell phone, do anything with them, you know, just, so that's the device we got to you, and you're the head of sales, and you have to sell it to investors.
Okay, so what I'm basically selling to investors is a pair of glasses with some sort of solar panels on it that allow me to plug in or somehow
you can
tap to power my iPhone, and I can just hold. So while I'm talking to my mom on the phone,
it can charge.
Okay, so let's see. So my name is Michelle, and I work for Super Solar Power sunglasses. And these are an amazing new device where we've incorporated solar power technology into this part of the glasses that sits on your ears. So when you're walking down the street, you're actually charging these panels. And the next time your mom calls you on the phone, your phone is actually charging when it's up against your glasses. And we're selling these for $499, and you get 2 pair for $895. So buy a pair of super solar charged sunglasses.
Thank you. You were good. You were good. You were fast. And how do you like the idea?
I like it. It's very unique. I would have never thought of doing solar panels on the side of the glasses. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Did you think of that, or did
no? That's shout out to Richardas.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the crazy idea generator.
I like that crazy idea. I like it. I think that's cool.
Yeah, he was pushing it to me for a couple of days. Yeah.
It works for me. It works for me.
So you did a great pitch, and at the end of it, you told it about a price. Mm-hmm. You talked about price, and then you gave it a bigger deal for $849. So there was a first deal was just as a bait for just that to make the second deal more attractive.
I have no idea. I was trying to think about the last pair of glasses that I bought, which is the ones I'm wearing now, and how much I paid for the exam, the special coating on the lenses and everything. And then I was thinking, okay, so if I add solar panels to this, it might be this. And if we're going to get 2 pairs, so I just sort of quickly did the raw math, and I don't even know if the math added up, because I don't know exactly what I said. But it was sort of ad-libbing.
So you think that in the podcast, in the pitch, the clarity, that's the main thing that matters?
I think that, so the one thing I left out of the pitch that I should have put in there was who these are specifically designed for. Mm-hmm. So even though small children wear glasses, we're not going to target expensive glasses for children, because they're going to lose them and break them and all that. So are we targeting somebody who needs some sort of a power bank for their phone, and they have no access to electricity around them? So I should have put in there who the target buyer might have been.
Okay.
But I think what does the product do? What are some of the advantages and how it would make your life easier? Meaning when your mom calls you on the phone, your phone is charging, and that sort of thing. So I think who the product's for, what it does, what the value is, those are some of the important things to put in a pitch.
Okay, so I think we just talked about a pitch.
Yep.
And now everybody knows how to do a pitch, and will be the best pitchers in the universe.
I hope so.
They had your 5-minute training now. But
was that 5 minutes?
Something, maybe more.
No, go ahead.
More.
Keep
15 minutes maybe. So let's talk about the qualities that we're looking in an entrepreneur.
Okay. So I mentioned one earlier, which is passion.
Passion, yeah. Just passion, perseverance.
Yeah, resilience.
Okay.
So resilience is being able to deal with all the problems that come at you when you're building a company.
Yeah.
And then being able to rebound from them. But I'll tell you, what do you think is the most important aspect of an entrepreneur? Any ideas?
I think that, as you mentioned, I think for me, this is the passion, the trust in the idea, and just, or maybe no, perseverance, and also just because I know that in startups, I've touched them enough that I would know that the main problem here, that sometimes you just go, you drive it, everything is very good, you see the idea, and just boom, you're in the wall. You hit the wall, and then after that you need somehow to fix it and go straight around, maybe take the different route. So I think that the main idea would be here that you just hard work, you need to stick it. Yeah, stick to the road and stick to those, just, I don't know, just innovate it, but maybe take it, problem solve it. That you somehow you need to pass the wall, but also you need to have the inner motivation to pass the wall.
Right.
And don't stop after that. So that's the perseverance here.
Yeah, be able to pick yourself up after you hit the wall. So that's important, but I have one thing that I think is much more important than anything else.
Okay,
and I think that is the willingness and the ability to listen to other people and take feedback and take coaching in a way that allows you to learn and grow from that. Because I don't think entrepreneurs have all the answers. I don't think they know everything. And the best entrepreneurs I've ever worked with are ones that are coachable and that don't take it personally when you suggest that there's a better way to go about doing something in their business.
And can you train a person to be more like to accept feedback better or to be more trainable?
I think number one, what is the feedback? And then number two, how is the feedback being delivered? So telling an entrepreneur that they suck at pitching is not the way to improve their pitching.
Yeah.
The way to focus their energies is to focus on their work product. So let me give you some suggestions on how your pitch would be better. Not how you will be a better pitcher, but let me work with you to come up with ways to pitch better. So that means you might have to stand differently, speak differently, use your hands differently, use gestures, use different words to convey a different message. If you're using slides, certain images that will telegraph a message. So it's not about telling them they're a rotten pitcher. It's really telling them there are ways to do their pitch better. So it's taking the emotion out of it and focusing on the work product.
So yeah, it's strictly business here.
Not strictly business, because we're really dealing with personal issues and personal style, but you're not attacking or degrading the person for how they do it. You're just saying, I think your pitch could be better if we could change this one thing or this other thing.
Okay. So if you're investing in a person, you usually invest in a startup, you usually invest into a person, not into an idea?
It's both.
It's both.
It's both, because if you have a CEO that is not very passionate, but the idea is great, then that's not a great combination, because that means that the idea is really great, but can the CEO push it further along the path? So it's kind of a combination of both.
Okay, but how do you look into the person, or how do you see that the person, how can you scan the person, for example, and see what kind of entrepreneurial qualities he has?
Well, first of all, how do they take feedback? How do they take suggestions and coaching? How do they respond to questions? What is their prior background? What did they do before this? Did they have personal experience about some problem in the market and they decided to create a solution to solve that particular problem? So that means they have intimate insight into the problem that I don't have. So that's an advantage that they have. But it's a little bit of, you can get in English we say you can get a bead on a person, which means you have a sense of who they are. You can get a bead on a person fairly quickly if you're experienced around looking at all those things. So you look at their body language, you look at their eyes, you look all these different things. So when you're talking to them, you can understand whether or not they're being truthful, whether or not they're willing to take your feedback, think about it, that sort of thing. And then, does the technology work? Does the product work? Let me see the product. Is the product of good quality? Well, if the product is shit, then it's never going to sell. So you can have a great entrepreneur with a shit product, and we're not going to go very far. But you can have a great entrepreneur with a great product. We're going to go so much further.
But there's high chance if it's a great entrepreneur, if he will have one shit product, the second one could be great.
Absolutely.
But
serial entrepreneurs are in high demand. And there are some investors in Silicon Valley that will only invest in serial entrepreneurs. They will not invest in first-time entrepreneurs.
Can you give one tip? Just one tip how to be a better and picking your teammate?
Find somebody who doesn't think like you. So if you can find somebody who thinks very different than you, chances are you will come together to build a product that is better suited to the market, because you had more unique perspectives that went into how the product goes to market, the feature set, the benefits, all that kind of stuff. If you have differences in perspectives, that's healthy. And then you have to work out the arguments and the disagreements about what works and what is not included in the product and that sort of thing. So I think the biggest tip I can tell you is don't find a founder who thinks just like you.
Okay, so
because you won't learn anything.
differentiate. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
that's the main goal.
Yeah,
So
it's like the old Apple commercial, think different.
Okay, so now we have, I think, for the startup advice, just do it, think different. What's more? What's more?
Be a good listener
Be a
and
good listener.
take coaching, accept coaching. Yeah.
And what do you believe about now? I think the main social network for entrepreneurs are LinkedIn.
I think LinkedIn is a great tool.
Isn't it too much about bragging? Because
there's a lot of bragging on it.
There's a lot. Oh, hello guys, I finished this and this. Here's my diploma. Then, hello guys, I've been to this and this podcast. I did this and this and that. Is it really about that? Isn't just too inflated?
Well, I think there's been a change in LinkedIn during the pandemic.
Okay.
Because we were not meeting people face to face. So we weren't going to networking events and meetups and conferences. And so I didn't see you and you didn't say, hey, Michelle, what's going on? And I'd say, well, I just finished my certification in AWS. Okay. And you would say, oh, that's cool. What are you going to do with that? And I was like, I don't know. Just decided to get certified in it, But we're not meeting face to face. So how am I going to tell people what I've accomplished? And so I personally have seen in LinkedIn in the last 2 years a lot more bragging on it. Yeah. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact because we're not meeting face to face. I think it does have a factor in there.
Okay, I'm a young user of LinkedIn. I had LinkedIn only for a year, I think, now.
So we've been in a lockdown for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, and the lockdown pushed me to have LinkedIn. When you're starting in this world, like in business world, we have to have a LinkedIn because everybody communicates through LinkedIn. But I see LinkedIn very insightful for a young businessman.
Yep.
Because I see a lot of experts in their fields, like communicating with us, just sharing cases of business cases, marketing cases, PR cases, and I think that you can learn a lot of new things just from LinkedIn, just from reading LinkedIn posts. And I think that it's more insightful than Instagram or Facebook has ever been.
I would agree with you there. I think I spend more time on LinkedIn and I think I appreciate more the links and connections to other content I may not have stumbled on through the news sources that I go to. And I think I would only go to Facebook just because I want to see what my family's up to, my family and friends. But I think I spend more time on LinkedIn and get more exposure to stuff I wouldn't have gotten exposure to probably previously.
So you think LinkedIn and business is crucial? So a good businessman should have LinkedIn and should communicate through LinkedIn?
Well, I think that if you're sitting here in Lithuania and I'm in Silicon Valley, I want to know who you are. That's my only real resource to find out who you are and what you're doing. And that is a way to bring business people together. So a long time ago, we used to say LinkedIn was the reason to hire you.
Yeah.
And Facebook was the reason not to hire you because the content's completely different.
Yeah, I saw that. We had a meme, I think, where it's like a profile picture of you on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn you're like with a costume. In Facebook you're just maybe with business casual,
drinking a beer at a restaurant.
And Instagram you're just you're wasted somewhere, just lying on a beach with a pair of good sunglasses
that are solar powered. Absolutely.
Yeah, but can you call yourself a LinkedIn influencer because you have more than, I think, 3,500
really
followers? Yeah.
Oh.
3,500.
I didn't know that.
Okay. So
I swear to God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I looked to it today and I see that this was 3,500.
I believe you. So can I call myself a LinkedIn influencer? I don't know. I guess, would you call me a LinkedIn influencer with that many followers?
I think so, because as you know from so you have 3,438 followers.
Okay, look, I believe you.
Here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Nice. So, because as you see from the trends, like in LinkedIn, 1 like is around 15 likes in Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's that's the conversion. Maybe the conversion rate is higher or lower, but just like, let's take it like it is like now, like 1 to 15, around
Okay.
that. So, and I believe that in LinkedIn, it's harder to gain followers because...
Yeah, that may be true. I will be honest with you. I didn't put a strategy together to gain followers in LinkedIn. I believe that if I do good work and I'm, have integrity and people can trust me, then, they're going to be interested in what I do and follow me. Now after we're done with this podcast, I'm going to go check it out and find out who,
Okay.
But seriously, I think you have to do good work.
I
think that's the key thing. It's the product. What is my product that I deliver? Is it teaching, training, mentoring, coaching?
Okay.
And what is the quality of that? How do I deliver my message
to
make the entrepreneur feel like the feedback that they got was valuable, that they're still inspired to build their company, or they're inspired even more to build their company because, the idea makes a lot of sense, or the team comes together and there's good dynamic between the team. I try to be upbeat about things, except when I think the idea totally sucks. And when it totally sucks, I have to tell them we might need to think about something else.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because there's a lot of people whose goal is that when they walk into the meeting, people know who they are. They don't have to say and tell like I'm this and this and that, but people just know who they are. So I think that's a big goal, and maybe like your LinkedIn profile with 3,500 followers give it to you.
Again, I think you have to do good work.
Okay.
You have to have integrity, and you have to be, willing to help people without expecting anything in return.
So do you feel influential on people?
Do I feel influential?
Influential.
Yeah, I think I have worked with thousands of founders around the world, and I think I have helped a lot of them, because some of them come back to me 10 years later and said, Michelle, I remember this one thing that you told me.
Okay.
And I was like, well, what did I tell you? I met you 10 years ago. I don't know what it was. And they say, well, you said that I should do such and such, And so for me, that's gratifying.
Okay, and let's everybody wants to know your biggest achievement, because I'll narrow it down. What was the biggest, like now a startup, which is the biggest one that you have touched, helped to nature it and just nurture it till the...
So there's a company in Estonia called FitsMe.
FitsMe?
Yeah, and they were sold to Rakuten in Japan. And some of the early ideas that I gave them about their strategy paid off. They were sold later on, many years later. I've touched lots of companies.
Yeah.
I love what I do. But, let's face it, 90% of startups fail in Silicon Valley, and the percentages are much, much higher in the rest of the world. Okay. So if, we were sitting in Brazil today, the failure rate there is around 94%.
Okay, that's big numbers.
It's high when you think about it, and nobody knows exactly how many startups are in Silicon Valley. Maybe there's 20,000, 30,000. I don't know. I don't know if there's really accurate data on how many startups there are. But if you think about it, you go meet a bunch of startups in Silicon Valley today, 5 years from now, a lot of them are going to be gone. So how do we find good ideas and good founders? Sometimes they're, like you said, their first idea is horrible, but they're going to go on and do another idea, and something good is going to come out of it. Serial entrepreneurs are really, I think, really special.
Okay, but now look, you have a class. You're like now teaching in ISM. I'm a student of yours.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. Thank you for coaching, mentoring us. But do you believe, so you said the success rate in Silicon Valley is 90%?
In 5 years.
In 5 years. So now think you have a project of 3 years with us. There's around 15 startups?
15 or 18.
15 or 18. So let's believe in that. So if you say 90%, so 1 out of 10. So maybe do you believe that one startup can grow into a market leader?
Absolutely.
Absolutely?
Absolutely. And I believe that if we teach this class in second semester next year, I believe that there will be 3 companies out of the 15 or 18 that we can, legally constitute as a business.
Okay, but let me stop you, okay?
Yeah.
Are you a competitive person?
Very.
Okay. Do you have your bets on the companies for yourself in your mind? Not disclosing it to us because it will build.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So we have.
Yeah,
And what was?
there's absolutely 3 companies I think have great potential right now.
Okay. And what?
And it's mainly due to the founders,
Yeah.
not the idea.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
It's
the founders or the idea.
because we don't have enough information about the ideas
Okay,
and
of
whether or
course,
not
yeah.
they're going to be successful. We haven't done enough validation, enough market development, none of that. We haven't done anything. But what I would bet on would be about 3 of the founders.
You should have to write it, and maybe after a couple of years to disclose it to us.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. I'll put it in, a file that can't be opened until 2024.
Yeah, I had a teacher. I had a teacher in my high school years.
Yeah.
It was, in my heart, she was the best informatics. She taught IT, programming, informatics teacher in Lithuania, like for sure. And she had got a lot of awards for that, and their a pass rate for the exam was 98% out of 100. And she always had an Excel file with all of her students, and she would write their scores before the exam or before maybe in the first years.
Wow.
So she had just to keep her competitiveness through the years.
That's interesting. So the predictability, how good are her predictability skills? What is she reading in the individual students to give her those, indicators? It's the same thing with me.
Yeah, so maybe you should try it. To do something like that.
I usually do. But I'll do it at the end of the week, this week, after I meet everybody. And I've done that with every cohort I've done for the last 5 or 10 years. So I always have, 1 or 2 favorites. And then I also have what I call DNRs. Okay. Do not resuscitate.
Okay.
So those are companies that the idea is just crappy, and the idea is not going to go forward, but the entrepreneur certainly will, because they learned a bunch of stuff with that idea they couldn't go forward with, and they won't make those same mistakes again. They'll
do you tell them that straight? That
no,
their idea is crappy?
Never.
But when is the point that it's crappy? If they're starting to realize that the idea is crappy, do you tell them to stop? Or
no, I never tell anybody to do anything.
Okay.
I try to do...
Not tell them, recommend them.
No, I don't even do that.
Okay.
I don't even do that. I try to ask questions in an effective manner that allows them to come to the conclusion themselves.
Okay. Oh, nice. You're just...
My job is not to tell them what to do. My job is to facilitate them getting to the decision that's right for them.
Okay, that's...
And one of the teams yesterday asked me what I thought about abandoning their idea.
Okay.
And I asked them why they wanted to do that, and we went through all those pros and cons, and I said, then sounds like you should abandon the idea.
Okay. So
do you have a plan B? Yes, we have a plan B. Well, then great. What can we do with a plan B?
Okay. So there's less competition now.
Why do you say that?
Because they don't have the plan B. They need.
Oh yeah, they have a plan B.
Oh, they have.
Oh yeah, they have a plan B. There's not less competition. There's going to be more.
And I was happy about that. Okay, let's wrap up.
Sure.
Here, but I wanted to ask you the last thing here. Okay, so life has changed a lot in the past 50 years. Okay, and you've been in the business for around 40.
Yeah.
Around something like that, yeah? So if you would be in your student place now and you're in my chair today, what kind of tips, what kind of plan would you give to us?
I would find, if you are not going to be an entrepreneur right away, go get a job that looks really interesting.
Okay.
So, and a job that's really interesting is working with lots of different kinds of people in a company that has a good culture, and hopefully somewhere where it facilitates you to travel a lot, because you learn a tremendous amount when you travel.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
As
so
a person who travels, I completely agree with you. And
my mother has a quote on the wall of her office that says, travel is hazardous to a closed mind.
Okay.
So that means that if you travel, you can't have a closed mind, because otherwise you're going to have a horrible experience traveling.
And then we would build a chain that the open mind helps you to be entrepreneurial. Yeah. Then you find some business ideas, you build a business, then you're a unicorn. Yeah.
The second thing I'd say is find somebody who thinks differently than you, who is their brain is wired in a different way, because that allows you to understand the value of having lots of different people in your life. And then thirdly, if you're not having fun, don't do it.
Okay.
You got to have fun. You got to enjoy it. Life is very short. It goes by very fast. And you got to enjoy it. And if you're not having fun, then get the hell out of there and go do something else. Seriously.
Yeah, I think so.
It's really, it's seriously, if you're not having fun, don't do it.
Okay.
I mean, so much of what I do on a day-to-day basis is related to, am I going to enjoy it?
Yeah.
Do I like it? Do I like the people I work with? And can I look back at the end of the day and say, yeah, I had a good day. I had fun.
Okay, and what do you do if you lose the thrill?
What do you do when you lose that thrill? So I lost that thrill during the coronavirus lockdown.
Okay.
I did not get that thrill because I was working from home and I was basically by myself. So I had to develop other creative interests, and, you know, I had to go ride my bike every day, you know, and get outside, and I had to learn to cook new foods, and I had to learn to paint. And
I think a lot of people done that.
Yeah.
For example, I started going to cold showers, swimming in sea when it was winter.
Wow.
Something that just maybe challenging myself, running.
Yeah, exactly.
Running in the -20 Celsius temperatures.
So I had to challenge myself too, because I lost the spark.
Yeah.
And when the plane took off the other day to get me to Lithuania, I was like, oh my God, Michelle, meet Michelle.
Yeah.
Meet the old Michelle.
After 60 plus countries, you're still excited to travel?
I love to travel.
Nice. Okay, so I think with this traveling and just very fascinated experience, I'm very thankful that you came to our podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me to be your number 2 person in your podcast series.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just have a good trip to Italy.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
Okay, great.